We're in the third set of the 1984 French Open between Ivan Lendl and John McEnroe. At this point, the match is 2 sets to 0 in McEnroe's favor. He won the first 2 sets 6-3, 6-2. And it looks like he's definitely on his way to winning. But this is the set where Lendl started to turn things around. And it was very apparent from the beginning that McEnroe was uncomfortable, getting more temperamental, getting more upset. This is a set that Lendl rightly won, but definitely McEnroe had his chances. And I'll go through that here in a second. But first, I got to get to the Bud Collins comments. I love Bud Collins. Cracks me up sometimes during these matches. So there were some things that he said really quickly. They showed two beautiful Parisian women there, and he said, "I hope she's on next." I don't know which one he was talking to because they were both very pretty. And then this another thing he says was the net judge, the one that just looks for the net cords on the serves. Um, he said he's a right-handed net judge. They tell me he can go both ways if he has an injury in his right hand. So, and then and later they switched out the net judge. He somehow knew the names of all of them too. And he said he's a left-handed net judge, so they're mixing it up. There was one point where uh, McEnroe hit a shot that Lendl could have easily hit a winner on, but he just missed it. He had a bad forehand. And he said that, or it was a serve. And he said that was a serve that came into the spider's parlor and the fly got away. Of course, he says it in his own inimitable way, but I enjoyed listening to Bud Collins. And just one other thing is they were so pro McEnroe. I can imagine somebody rooting for Lendl and feeling like he definitely got short shrift, at least through the first 3 sets, almost to the point where McEnroe was just about to lose the third set, and Enberg was just gushing about how great he volleys and how Lendl's a so-so volleyer, and then there goes Lendl winning the third set. But first two games were both served at love, but you could see even in McEnroe's first serve game that tied it up at 1, he started complaining about people in the crowd or photographers and all these types of things, just kind of losing his focus and concentration. He was easily distracted. I don't know how he always would do it at the U.S. Open. He would play very well there with the planes flying overhead and the noisy crowd. But he couldn't seem to hold it together and stay focused and shut all that stuff out in Roland Garros. When the Lendl second service game at 1-1, he yelled "shut up" to some people in the crowd. And then there was 30-30. He had a really easy shot that he could have got to break point where he could have just hit it straight down the line. He tried to hit it cross court. I don't know why, because Lendl was right there and put it away. But that was a missed opportunity to get to a break point, and Lendl ended up serving it out to get to 2-1. Then McEnroe was serving at 1-2, and Lendl finally got his first break point and then his second break point, but was not able to break through. Lendl started returning some of McEnroe's serve much better, some backhand cross-court winners, and he even hit a kick serve off his forehand and hit it all the way across court. And he said the kicker got kicked, Bud Collins. So McEnroe ended up holding for 2-2, and then the next game, this was the real missed opportunity of the third set for McEnroe. Lendl went down love 40, so McEnroe had 3 break points, and McEnroe couldn't convert on any of them. I don't remember all the details of each point, but I know Lendl hit a couple good shots, and McEnroe made a couple errors, and it wasn't anything real definitive. But Lendl got back in the game. Then McEnroe had another break point when they got to deuce. They got to add out or advantage McEnroe, and he still couldn't break through and win it. So that brought it to 3-2, and then Lendl finally broke McEnroe to bring it to 4-2, and his forehand was getting much, much better than it was in the first couple sets. So his main weapon, which is his forehand, he was able to unleash a little bit, and he was definitely getting more and more comfortable, you could see in the match. Wasn't complaining as much. He was more focused. And McEnroe again was yelling at himself. When he did yell "shut up" earlier that I mentioned at 1-2, there was somebody on the side of the court, and he said there was some um, sound coming through those headphones. So that's what caused him to scream at that person, which was really, really jarring for something like that going on in a tennis match. So Lendl broke to go to 4-2, and then McEnroe broke right back to 4-3. To his credit, he didn't fall apart. He kept attacking, and he played a good game, broke back. Went to 4-4. He held, and then Lendl was able to hold serve to get to 5-4. And again, McEnroe was yelling at himself. Um, I can't remember. One of the things was he was a jerk or called himself a jerk, and then he said, "God damn you." Pardon my language. And he started, that was what he yelled at himself, and lost 4-5. And then Lendl hit a couple great, at 4-5, Lendl hit a couple great backhand, one on a return cross court, and another one down the line. Got himself in position to break and broke and won the set 6-4. So definitely a very solid set for Ivan Lendl. McEnroe is still playing somewhat well, still doing some good serve and volleys, some good volleys, but he was just getting too frustrated with himself and with the fans and so forth. His first serve percentage went down quite a bit. It was 60% after the first two sets, and then it was down below 50%, like around 47%. And that's what kind of allowed Lendl to get back in the match, because I think McEnroe started taking something off of his first and second serves just to get him in and avoid double faulting, which he did. But then Lendl was able to set up and hit his ground strokes or his backhand or forehand returns on McEnroe's serve. I've heard some things too and read that, notably Mary Carrillo, I think she was the one that said it, or I read that she said McEnroe had a little bit of hubris in this third set, and that he wanted first two sets he won by playing his game, and then he wanted to also in the third set beat Lendl at his game too, which would be from the baseline. And I think it's a fair point she made. I could see why somebody might see that from their perspective, and she's obviously somebody who knows a whole lot more about tennis than I do. Personally, I didn't really see that. I noticed McEnroe was back at the baseline doing more rallies with Lendl, but I never thought he passed up an opportunity to attack. He just maybe didn't attack quite as much as in the first two sets. I'd also heard somebody else, it wasn't Mary Carrillo, but I can't remember who, that said that McEnroe started to toy with Lendl. And I didn't see that in this third set, at least. Maybe it happens in the fourth set. But I think McEnroe played a pretty straightforward set, at least the way he played. He may have lost himself emotionally a bit, getting mad at himself and mad at the photographers and the fans and all that. But I thought he played along the lines of the first two sets. But his serve started to go, and Lendl started to hit a lot better shots, especially returns. So a good set, definitely back and forth. There were McEnroe broke Lendl once, and Lendl broke McEnroe twice. Wins the set 6-4. So now it's 2-1 McEnroe, and we're going to move on to the fourth set.